Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
So welcome to Coffee with Karen. Well, although it's Thursday, so it's more the keto coffee with Karen, where we discuss more topics related to health, holistic health, restorative health. And so this week, my guest, I know, thinks very similar to me, that sugar is the enemy and not fat with relation to overall health. So Joe, welcome to the show. If you could explain to the listeners and viewers a little bit about who you are, what you do, and a little bit about your story.
Okay, yeah. So, hello everybody. My name's Jo Leperbow, and lots of people call me the Sugar Woman because for many, many years now, I've been helping people to understand the impact what sugar has on the body. And like Karen says, for a long, long time, we were given such misinformation, back in the 80s and 90s, telling us that fat was the problem. And it's obviously turned out that it wasn't, because obviously once they started to take the fat out, they had to make it taste nice. So they put the sugar in. And then what happened was the explosion of obesity, diabetes, and those misinformation messages are still filtering through. People are still buying that low-fat product because they think, that message is still ingrained there, isn't it? So what I'm doing is really helping to help people to understand how to become a sugar detective. But the main thing is I know that so many people have a real emotional attachment to food. And so what I do is I know that people struggle to just say, well, I'm just going to stop eating sugar. It's not that easy. No. So then what I do is help people to tame their sugar monster, I call it. So I help people to go through a whole process using hypnotherapy, health coaching and education to help people to become back in control. So they're the ones calling the shots.
Brilliant. And what you just said there is so true. If it were that simple and we just got told the information today that actually if we want, really perfect health almost, all we've got to do is stop eating sugar. On the basis of it, that sounds a really, really simple thing. So why is it? I mean, I know there's all sorts of, there's a physiological side to it, but there's also a psychological side to it. So why do you think that is such a big issue for the majority of people?
Well, going back to my own story is I was once in a really, really unhappy marriage, and it was so toxic. And, I just found that food was my comfort. It helped me to kind of just distract myself from really facing my emotions and instead delving into that big bag of Maltesers or whatever I was eating, thinking that, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'll stop eating sugar tomorrow. But of course, that tomorrow never came, because every day it was like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. and I just couldn't let go of it. And so I really understand that connection, because it's as if we're not dealing with those emotions, and we need to deal with them to let go of them, don't we? And what I say to people is like, this relationship we have, this food, this destructive relationship we have with food is really like as if, you're not dealing with the emotions. And to me, it's like, you've got a gaping hole in the roof of your house and you're dealing with it by going and painting the kitchen.
Yeah.
And not really dealing with that gaping hole in the house. Yeah. So so a lot of it is tied up with emotions, and people don't even realize they're doing it a lot of times. No. So it's like a real unconscious repetitive behavior.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
a habitual thing. It is a habitual thing. And you know, hands up, I totally can resonate with that. And even on my own journey, even totally understanding, you know, the health benefits of it and everything. My trigger about a year ago, I found myself doing it again because of all this lockdown and COVID. So it's really interesting, isn't it, that certain triggers trigger this emotional response, and because of the way we've dealt with things in the past, we can have a tendency to repeat that behavior pattern when we come up against another stressful or, you know, anxiety or anything like that, right?
And a lot of it delves back to that relationship, you know, with that started with food way back in your childhood, where maybe, you know, you'd be upset and your mum would give you an ice cream to make you feel better. Or, you know, I know that, you know, I was managed to get off the sugar, and I was like, really like, you know, completely aligned with my message. And then unfortunately, my mum got run over and died not long after.
Oh, sorry.
And I just couldn't help myself going back into that biscuit tin. And it was just, and I thought, why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Because I know, like you say, Karen, you like, we know that we shouldn't be doing it.
And you're still doing the thing that you know is causing you harm in the long run. I mean, it seems crazy, even in, you know, with what's going on at the moment, we're so aware that people with obesity, people with type 2 diabetes are probably going to struggle if they did get COVID than people that are healthy. And even with that knowledge, it still wasn't enough to override this habitual comfort, like this instant, you know, I suppose because I've got no control over what's going on in the outside world, this is the only thing I do have control. So I'm going to have that, because you want that instant feel good.
Yeah. Because it does give you that more mental.
It is overwhelming. It seems crazy, doesn't it?
Because we know that chemically, you know, it gives you that dopamine rush, doesn't it? But when you think you've eaten that chocolate, and what I get people to do when they come into my, is to really sense, did you really enjoy it? And then when they kind of tune in and like become more of a conscious eater, they think, not really. Didn't satisfy, and it certainly didn't deal with that emotion that I was feeling. So it's kind of tuning in, and then, because I know what I used to be like, I'd go down, think, oh, I'll make a drink and I'll enjoy these 3 biscuits. And I'd get the biscuits out and put whilst I'm making for the drink, I'd eat the biscuits. And then I'd sit down with the drink and think, where did I put them biscuits? Can't find them. Oh, I've eaten them. So then I'd go back and get some more, because this time I was going to sit and enjoy them. And I think that's the pattern that lots of people get into, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, so I find that the hypnosis really is such a powerful tool, because it really starts to tap into that unconscious messaging that we need to deal with. And so what I say to people is Taming Sugar Monster without needing willpower, because we don't want to be battling it, do we? We want it to be easy.
Absolutely. And you know, I don't believe willpower is, I suppose it's a handy tool initially for certain things, but I know through personal experience as well, is willpower, it might be different with some people, but I know for me, my willpower is not going to last too long. And as we know, it takes quite a while to create any kind of new habit. So there's always that gap. There's that missing week or two between willpower whittling out and it's not quite a habit yet. So yes, I would agree that the way I see hypnotherapy is, I don't like to use the word cheap because that has a negative connotation, but it's like it's a quick way in. It's going in the back door, right?
Like a comfortable way of dealing with it, isn't it? Because you're just relaxing, and then you start to feel, oh, that's really strange. I don't start, you know, my lady say, I'm not feeling like I need a biscuit. I've made that I've told my friend I don't want that chocolate cake, and I really meant it. I didn't mean, oh, I'm not doing it because I'm on a diet.
Yeah.
I really didn't mean it. I didn't need it, you know. So that makes it easier. But obviously, we know that willpower isn't strong enough against our hormones. So if I leptin or ghrelin, you know, the hormones are giving you that message that you need to eat, willpower isn't strong enough to defeat, you know, to master that. So what I'm helping people to really understand about the biology as well, about the timings that they eat and the nourishing your body, so it's not feeling deprived, so it doesn't send that message out that, come on, you need to give me nourishment this time, so eat again. And we just feel the hunger, reach out for food, but not realizing again we haven't nourished our body. So again, the body's going to say, come on, give me some nourishment, I'm still hungry. So we're coming it from both angles, you know.
Which is, I think, the only way, really, because of those, as you said before, it's there's two sides of this, isn't it? It is the habitual, so the subconscious reaction to. And you're right. It's funny, isn't it? We've become accustomed to, and you know, I've done it to my own kids because we sort of repeat patterns, like you say, any kind of reward. You know, if they've done well at school, or yes, it's always a treat, and it's always a food. It's got some sweets, got some chocolate. You know, birthdays, jelly and ice cream, and because you do it because that's what birthday parties are all about. And I suppose it does make a lot of sense as to why then we've continued that, you know. And I know I do it. I used to do it. I would, you know, justify it in my own mind. You know, I've worked really hard today.
Yeah, well, that's it. Going to have a glass of wine, sit on the sofa. That's it. I'm going to enjoy this chocolate bar and this glass of wine. And I know that's how I used to feel. Yeah, definitely.
And why do you think, I mean, and I, you know, talking probably from a woman's perspective, is that there's so many other rewards that we could choose to reward ourselves with. And yet what I found with a lot of women is that they have almost feelings, maybe not guilt, but that they don't deserve, you know, to go and have a massage, or to go and get their hair done, or have a
we can't at the moment, can we?
As you know. And if I just do my own, I'm sure my hair's just going to break off soon. Where do you think that all comes from? If we see things as a reward, so we're choosing food, why do you think that some people then struggle with giving themselves non-food rewards?
Don't know, because what I try and get my clients to do is to pause when they feel that urge to go and eat. And then we know that whilst that actual craving doesn't last that long, really. If we can distract ourselves, and obviously we know we can't just say, oh, I'll go and have my hair cut or go shopping or whatever, because we can't do that at the moment. Nope. But we can connect with people online, and we can phone a friend, and we can distract ourselves and do nice things, like go and have that lovely bubble bath and pamper yourself in a nice way, listening to your favorite music. Music is a real mood changer, isn't it? Because a lot of time, if you're in that mood of feeling a bit down and everything, if you start to play some happy music, or even watch a comedy show, or watch your favorite movie or something which makes you smile and change your emotional state. Yeah, but that bubble bath to me is that kind of treat, isn't it?
Yes.
At the moment, can't really do much more, can we?
No, we're a bit limited. We're a bit limited on the rewards that we give ourselves, unfortunately.
I'll go out for that, you know. Obviously, even the weather's not really helping, is it? I'll go out for a lovely walk.
Yeah. So, with regards to sort of going back to, you know, there are different processes that are in play, I suppose, that are. So you're dealing with the more subconscious side of it, but as you said, there is a hormonal response. So so if the mindset is overriding, is that what you're saying? Overriding the sort of hormonal response, or how do you deal with
the hormonal
response with your clients?
Yeah, because most people make that mistake of having that breakfast, that first part of the day, a sugary start to the day. When you think in the UK or many places, we've been trained to think that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And Kellogg's was the ones who came up with that slogan. And so obviously we reach out for toast, or we reach out for the sugary cereals. And all they do is get you stepped onto that ladder of going on a roller coaster. Blood sugar's going high and blood sugar's going low, and create cravings and, your insulin problems and everything. So if we just don't step onto that roller coaster. So what I can try, I'm a real advocate for intermittent fasting. So, I'm just leading 32 people through something now, and they're all on the first stage of doing intermittent fasting. And it just helps to really keep your blood sugars level, because we tend to make wiser choices for lunchtime, don't we?
Absolutely.
So that already is preventing these hormonal crashes that make you reach out for food, make you hungry, make you want that 11 o'clock snack.
Yeah.
And most people going through and think, oh, I'm not actually feeling hungry, I can manage this. So that's one thing. And then next week we're kind of introducing the keto, because to me, getting those really healthy fats in, getting a really good balance, and you just don't feel hungry. And that is obviously, if you're not feeling hungry and you're distracted and you're getting into something that you're passionate about, before you know it, the days, and you think, oh, well,
perfect.
Feeling so much more in control.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right there. That I don't know about you, but I think the hardest thing that myself and my clients, I think, have come to the understanding of is, like you said right at the beginning, we've been so conditioned to believe that fat was the bad one.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, even though people sort of, they're getting this, okay, have lower carbs, but they still, I can, suggesting, if you want something sweet, have some berries or strawberries with full fat double cream. And it's still, and I can remember, even me, I'm looking at this thinking, this can't be healthy. This can't be good. But it's amazing how brainwashed we have all been, because, we've been told from, I can remember being very young, very, very young. I don't know, 6, 7. My brother liked cream. I didn't even like cream, but that would be the bad thing. So don't have too much of that. So it's amazing how that constant, pushing that this stuff is bad and don't have butter and go for margarine, that it's so inbuilt in us when we get to this stage, and you're trying to recommend to people to have a higher fat intake in their food. Yeah, it's still quite a hard thing to grasp.
Bit of resistance there, isn't there? Yeah. But then when there's when they start to feel like they're fitting in their clothes so much better and they've actually enjoyed their food, then that's when it starts to, oh yes, I see, it does work.
It's amazing. And it's really sort of, I mean, I know some doctors are sort of coming round to that, but some are still set in their ways. I've come across people with type 2 diabetes, and they're coming on to, so they're getting them to eat a low carb diet, but they're not increasing the fat.
No.
And I'll be like, yeah, but you've got to have energy from somewhere.
Yes.
Where do you think you're going to get your energy? If you're not having energy from your glucose, you've got to get it from your fat.
Yeah, because I don't. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like the opposite of starvation, and with intermittent fasting, it's a choice, isn't it? It's not like, oh, I'm starving my body. it's a choice that you cannot eat if you want, but we're choosing to eat later and having a window where your body is actually absorbing the food that you've already given it. Because so many times we graze, well, we see so many people not just eat 6 times a day, like 3 meals and 3 snacks. It's just constant grazing.
Constant. But
and your body is just storing that energy, storing that fat, isn't it?
Totally.
So we need to give the body a chance to actually start to access that energy and access those storage of fat that we've got around our body. And when you start to see that happening and your shape shifts, you know, you kind of start to get a waist again.
Yeah.
Then
we're still up against quite a lot of resistance due to, you know, I come from a personal training background, and all my training, you know, it was so much on, you know, I have to, I suppose, in a way, say sorry to past clients where I've recommended, you know, perfect breakfast, bowl of porridge, maybe with half a banana and a glass of orange juice. And that sounds so healthy. And yet, oh my goodness, it's just the worst possible thing you could start your day by. And then, yeah, getting them to eat every couple of hours. It's amazing how wrong we got it.
Yeah.
But to then try to undo. And of course, a lot of people in the fitness industry, obviously, they're listening to what they were trained to do. So it's quite a big thing, do you not think, for people people out there who, you know, they've always had Kellogg's breakfast. You know, they might recommend to their children to not go for the obvious sugary ones like Frosties or Cocoa Pops, but still, whatever cereal it is going to break down to sugar. So do you have quite a resistance in the beginning with your clients to sort of have that understanding that even if it doesn't have sugar on it, obviously,
yeah,
it's still going to break down to sugar?
Well, I do have there's a free course that they go through, how to be a sugar detective, and I'm showing people how to work out how much sugar is in cereals, for example. And it's so misleading, isn't it, on the food labelling system, where they say recommended portion size 30 grams. And we know that 30 grams just covers the bottom of the bowl. Tiny. So they're at least going to have double, but more likely they're going to have triple. And so what you have to do is when you're looking at the food labels and it's giving you the facts for the 30 gram, you've got to times it by 3 if you're having the 3 times the size. And so we worked out with the Crunchy Nut cereal that it was 7 3/4 teaspoons of sugar in 1 bowl of cereal. And that's before they'd added the milk and before they've had the orange juice or the cup of tea with the sugar or whatever. And we know we're supposed to really, as a woman, only supposed to be having about 7 teaspoons of sugar in the whole day. So if you've broken it with that breakfast already, and then it's got you on that roller coaster of, I'm going to have a dip soon, quite quickly, and then you need to pick you up. So your body's going to make you want to eat again. And then you're going to, and so when we've worked it out, you know, most people on average are having about 25, 30 teaspoons. But I have gone into colleges and worked with teenagers. And when we've worked it out, you know, because they're having the Lucozade drinks and they're having the Monster drink, and we worked it out, some of them were having 90 teaspoons of sugar in a day. And that was their normal day every day. So we know that, you know, constantly repeating that behavior, putting you in that risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And we also know, don't we, that young children are now getting type 2 diabetes, which used to be like you got it later in life.
But it's quite an obvious, you can see it happening, couldn't you, Joe?
Yeah.
You could look back and you could just predict.
Yeah.
Really. Because again, it's not like, you know, obviously there are different things going on in the body, but we are, when it comes to things like that, we are all the same. You know, at the end of the day, we all have a pancreas. you know, the fact is your body's only going to be able to deal with about 1 teaspoon at a time before storing the rest. Your pancreas every single time is going to have to release a lot of insulin to do that, to push that into storage. So, you know, no one's Superman with a super pancreas that's going to be able to respond forever doing that. So it seems, I don't know about you, but I get quite frustrated about the lack of information out there from the doctors.
Well, you still hear, don't you?
Simple thing to fix. And do you not?
Yes.
Do you feel the same?
Well, that's the thing. It can be fixed, can't it? People can reverse, you know, type 2 diabetes, whereas they're still getting that information filtered through that once you've got it, you've got it. It's like, no, you can completely reverse this. So let's get this sorted. You know, it's start to make shifts and changes in your diet.
Absolutely. I mean, I know I've, in a way, I think it's quite sad that it's even called type 2 diabetes, because it does give the illusion that it's like type 1, where, you know, at the end of the day, from my perspective, type 1 is a completely different disease. It's you can't put the two in the same.
No.
Type 1 can't do anything about, and that's how they're born. Type 2 is purely brought on by lifestyle. There's no other way around it. It's not that you're the unlucky one and you've just got type 2 throughout any action by yourself. Not, and I don't mean that in a blame way at all. No. What I mean by that is basically the misinformation that we were given years ago. We were all advised to start our day with this. So that really, in a way, that's what's led us down this path for, you know, the majority of people, you know, find out they've got type 2 diabetes. As far as I'm concerned, they're so far down that route. Whereas if they caught them 5 years ago.
Yeah, like pre-diabetes would be the stage that you want to get at. But, you know, once somebody's got there, we can help them. So I just want to hope that people are getting that message that if you have got it, you can reverse it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you find that actually when you do work with people that it's not just the odd few, because of, again, we are conditioned, we are in the habit of, you know, it's just even things that you think about having. Right, we're here today, so for lunch we will go and grab a sandwich and a packet of crisps, and then on top of that, they might feel that to be healthy, they should go for a piece of fruit, which actually is possibly even worse. Because
but it depends which fruit they're having, doesn't it? Yeah.
And which is almost giving fruit a bad name, because I don't want to give fruit a bad name, but because it's on top of what they've already done, it's actually can be, you know, bottle of orange juice is the worst thing. It's not going to be any better than having a glass of Coke. Right?
Well, I did a Facebook Live the other day, and we were comparing a bottle of Coke to a carton of orange juice. And actually, when we worked it out, it was apple juice, not orange juice, apple juice. And there was more sugar in the apple juice than the Coke. And people are like, what? You know, because the marketing messages on it, don't they?
Yes.
They 45 whatever nutrients.
We were all brought up to believe. My mother would specifically choose fruit juice as opposed to the squash.
Yeah.
Thinking, you know, we're doing our bit. We're trying to be healthier. And you're so right. I mean, I know, you know, there'll be people out there that will totally disagree with us on that front, especially if it's freshly squeezed.
Yeah.
But it's because of the fact that it is breaking down purely into fructose. So it's only going to your liver. It's, you know, fatty liver isn't just caused by drinking too much alcohol. yes, there are nutrients. They might be nutrient dense, but it's still, bottom line, it's still breaking down into fructose. And then unless you've had nothing else to fill the liver up, then, you know, it might not be so bad. But in general, it's the on top of, isn't it?
And I think that the misinformation about the diet drinks as well, you know, the Diet Coke. And so, you know, the app, the Sugar Smart app, where you can scan the ingredients, scan the products, and it will drop in.
What's it called again for any listeners? What's it called?
I call it the Sugar Smart app, but it was developed by the government, and it's, I can't, I'll find it and I'll lend it.
Yeah, and I'll add it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a good little app. So I used to do it all the time with the children when I went into schools, and they could scan the products, and it's the barcode they're scanning, and it jumps in with the sugar cubes, and they bounce in, you know, showing how much sugar's in that product. But unfortunately, obviously, if somebody's scanning a Diet Coke and it doesn't scan and knows sugar comes bouncing in, then there's that misunderstanding, isn't there, that, oh, this must be healthy then. It's got no sugar in it. But obviously we know that it's teamed with chemicals, isn't it? Especially if you've got something like Diet Coke, which has got the aspartame in it. And so then I think that's the way a lot of the misinformation lies, because obviously we know as soon as that sweet taste touches your mouth, whether there's sugar in it or not, your brain is like sending that signal, oh, she's about to have something sugary, it's going into the body, let's release the insulin. And then if that sugar doesn't arrive, then you've got insulin flushing around your body waiting for that sugar to arrive. It doesn't arrive. So and your body's craving food then. Yeah, craving food. Yeah.
Yes, there's definitely, I you know, I know a lot of people that feel that they're doing the right thing, exactly that they're going for the diet. Yeah, chemicals, whole foods weren't possible, all these chemicals that we're bombarding our bodies with on a daily basis. Some we're choosing to, some are out of our control, but out of the ones that we're choosing to, and do you not find that what I say to people is, if you're sticking with that, it's almost like you're trying to trick yourself. It's like giving, I don't know, an alcoholic alcohol-free wine. It's like a bit of a wind-up, isn't it? you're gonna crave it even more. So it's not really helping with the addiction. That's how I view it. Is no, break the addiction. Break it so that you don't crave those sugary things, because if you're trying to keep hold of this diet thing, then you're actually, in a way, you're making life harder for yourself, aren't you? Because you haven't broken that addiction. So I
can't remember the last time I had a Coke. I can't imagine drinking it now. But I know that when I was in the marriage and I came, you know, I'd broken away from that, and I came up here and I was feeling really large, and I joined, you know, like well-known weight loss companies. And I'd never drunk Coke, but because everybody was saying, oh, it's no points or whatever, I ended up starting to buy it, and I started to, you know, drink the stuff. And then obviously finding out that you can actually get rid of the rust of a car battery with Coke. You mean, oh, what's that doing to my insides then? And so I haven't had that for it. So I can't imagine tasting that now. It just tastes so chemically, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Who wants it? I mean, I know people. Some people just, you know, they'll say they don't. You know, we're all trying to encourage them to drink more water, but you know, this whole thing of water's boring, and it's like they've got to have something in their water to drink it. Whereas it's, I think it's just something you get used to, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can flavour water, can't you? You can flavour water with all sorts of things like fresh lime, lemon, cucumber, even apple cider vinegar. I like salt. It's just gives you that bit of flavour to your water, doesn't it? So, But I just like my fresh water and nothing in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you tell the listeners a little bit about what it is you do, what it is you offer, what sort of programs you and what issues you're specifically helping people with?
Well, most ladies who, and I'm keep saying ladies, I do have men join as well. I've got a really fantastic guy in the group at the moment who's really embracing it, and he doesn't mind that there's another 31 women in there, and he's the only man. So, yeah. But yeah, so people are coming in because they're just fed up of feeling lethargic. They're fed up of not having the energy, and they're fed up of feeling that they can't say no to that sugar. Because I think they've got to the decision that, especially with this lockdown lard that we've all put on, that they want to get rid of it. And so really what I'm doing is really educating them on the best way to break free from sugar without it being a real battle. And so the first week we're doing intermittent fasting, but all the hypnotherapy, they get a morning hypnotherapy, they get an evening hypnotherapy dropping each day. They get so much support, education, group support. And I come on every Tuesday and we have a live Zoom call where I teach something, but it's all building that community. So they're feeling supported, that they're not alone. And what else? Tons of recipes and lots of guidance and support, really, and an understanding from each person. Everyone's helping each other forward. And then once we've got through that, then I lead people through like really cleansing detoxes. And then we get to the point where, because I'm a real advocate for that women, a lot of the time we're not really standing in our true power, are we? One of my clients said the other day, I'm standing on the sideway watching my life and not being participant in it. And I just thought, it's so sad. Like so many women feel like that, don't we? We're helping everybody else. We're sorting out, the husband or the partner or the children or the boss or whatever. And a lot of the time we say yes to things even though we don't really want to do them because we're so people pleasing with helping everybody else. So then I work with people on a one-to-one to really help them to step into their power too.
Brilliant. Yeah, that links back to what I said earlier. I think a lot of women do feel that they don't deserve the reward. It's that's probably all linked. It's everybody else, we've got to do this, and if there is a bit of extra money left, I might feel guilty if I'm spending it on me, so I should be spending it on them or doing this, and I can see that happening quite a lot. So I think that's brilliant that you're trying to help them overcome those. And is that through hypnotherapy as well?
Yeah, so that's on a one-to-one with kind of really bespoke packages where we kind of really delve in more into those subconscious beliefs about themselves, not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough or whatever it is. So yeah, obviously people come from a completely different story each time. So I like working with people on a one-to-one with that. But my group program is Taming Sugar Monster.
Excellent. Yeah, because I think everybody's it's interesting, isn't it, that I talk to some people and they'll say, oh no, I haven't got an issue with sugar, because again, in their mind's eye, they don't have a sweet tooth, so they're not having the chocolate and the cake, but they're having the bread and butter, or they're having the pasta, or they're addicted to it. And it is
bread was my big issue,
isn't it?
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because I know that bread does not serve me. If I have bread, I go, bulk up and feel bloated. And it was funny. I was weighed myself the other day, and I'd had some bread, just one slice. And that evening, I felt really uncomfortable and really bloated. And I weighed myself, and I put 3 pounds on. And I knew it wasn't that I'd put 3 pounds of weight on, but it was the inflammation in my body
Water.
that was making me feel. And so I just know I can't deal with bread. But it's funny how we crave things. So, you know, we're drawn to things that we don't react well to. So I'm just really helping people when we do the detox, this can then introduce the food slowly back in, so they can really start to sense, it's that food. Because a lot of the time, all along, we've been struggling with that food. But because we're bombarding our body with all sorts of stuff, it's hard to say, oh, it's definitely bread, or it could be milk, or it could be whatever, because everything's bombarding it, isn't it? But when you kind of have really cleansed your body, and then people say, I used to be able to deal with bread before I did that detox. And probably, no, you never did. But your message is a lot clearer now.
Exactly. It's all been, and do you not find that, again, and this can be, I think, because of our conditioning throughout, it's totally through our lifetime, that even if they have had some discomfort, because they've had a mix of everything, they've already made the decision about what has caused that. And it's normally, I don't know, the fat or the beef or the, and they've totally dismissed what they perceived to be healthy, because they put their own perception of what they've always been taught as to what foods are healthy and what foods are unhealthy for you. And so I bet when they do the detox, it makes sense that when you just put one thing in, and it's like, that's the I never realised that. And I mean, I know I found with people, like you say, they can, they think, they've had a cheat weekend, or, they have eaten the stuff that maybe they were trying to stop them from eating, and they gained 3 to 5 pounds or something. And I'm like, look, you cannot physically put on that much weight, fat, 3,500 per pound. There's no way I've eaten in excess of 12,000 calories yesterday. It's just physically impossible. But it is definitely, there's something what I've sort of come to realize that it's I think when you have those kinds of foods, is that in some way your body, it is inflammation, and it's the body's holding on to water. And the problem is, if you hadn't taught them that, they might have thought, oh, this isn't working, what's the point? And given up. Whereas when they're able to have that understanding, because you've taught them that, they go back to normal the next day, and those 3 pounds just disappear, right?
Yeah, it shreds off again, doesn't it? Because it's not, you're not going to repeat it. You're not going to keep adding the bread in, because it obviously wouldn't go back to normal if you kept putting that inflammatory food back in, would it?
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of difference of opinion with various professionals. I know a lot of people tell, throw away the scales, and I'm actually of the opposite thinking, and I do actually recommend people to weigh themselves daily, but for that fact, for them to see.
I think when you've gone through a detox and you're doing something like that, and you're watching reactions of food, then yes, the weighing scales are, a good indicator that something's happening, isn't it? Or you tax your clothes or whatever. But I do tend, it depends on the relationship that person has with the weighing scales, doesn't it? If they're going to be completely disheartened, if they feel like they've been really good all week and they've only lost half a pound, and they know that that's going to get them to sabotage themselves, then I say lock those scales up in the attic. But if somebody's got a good relationship with the scales, then
it's fine. What I've just found is that it's quite interesting for them to see, so that they don't worry. That, this is part, you're never going to go straight down.
No.
You're going to fluctuate. Us women, we're going to be holding on to water at certain times of the month. Things are going to happen. So what I found is when they can see that for themselves, that it's just part of the process, so that they don't have that fear of, oh, this doesn't work, oh, I'm going to give it all up.
Yeah.
But without having you there to guide them, having the scales would be a nightmare, because they would have probably jacked it all in. Whereas by having you there to educate and to explain what is actually going on, so like relax, calm, don't worry, drink some more water, you'll be fine.
Definitely, yeah. So are you kind of working with groups as well? What are you doing, Karen?
Sorry?
Are you working with groups as well, or do you work with one-to-one?
Yeah, I'm still working. I'm sort of combining everything, really. I do come from the fitness side of things, so 20 years of teaching body pump, 27 years of personal trainer. So I have found it very interesting that, you know, years ago, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really too bothered about what I ate. I was teaching so many classes, it just sort of kept me level. I was never the skinny one, you know. I've got a healthy appetite, as I say. But in my mind's eye, or because of the training that I had and the information that I was giving out, like the healthy breakfast and the eating 6 more meals a day. So sorry. You know, and that my idea that, well, you know, just work out harder. Yeah. You know, and it doesn't work. No. So for me, yes, for a quarter of a century, I was giving out bad information. You know, I can't take totally the blame for that. That's what I was taught. Yeah. But then for me, I gained weight when I did give up teaching, and I was just working online. And because I didn't have to be, you know, didn't have my structure, I've got to be here at 7 and there. I just wasn't exercising. Of course, I carried on eating the same because I was in the habit. You know, I knew my portions. It's not that I ate more. I just was carrying on eating the same, but not burning up thousands of calories in a day. Yeah.
Because I imagine you must have been super active if you were teaching exercise every day.
Yeah. Oh, it just a huge change. And then when to be honest, when I went down the fasting and the keto route, in the beginning, I actually didn't care. It wasn't for health. It was purely superficial. I just wanted to lose weight fast and I didn't care, you know. But because I lost so much weight so fast, it was like, well, hang on a minute. You know, for my whole adult life, for a quarter of a century, I was teaching this way, and I knew that wouldn't have worked for me. And now I've done the opposite, and it's gone boom. It was like, well, how can that be?
Yeah. So when you think like the keto, they're really looking into how it impacts people with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and all these medical benefits.
Oh, everything. I did go and then studied under Professor Tim Noakes with the Nutrition Network, and it was for the course, had nothing to do with weight loss. It was all to do with type 2 diabetes. Yes, they linked a little bit with obesity, but it was more to do with the Alzheimer's, ADHD, epilepsy. And it was that realization that, wow, you know, this is not superficial. This is actually huge, and is going to have such a huge impact on people's overall health, which then made me, okay, right, I need to go back into this industry to re-educate people on nutrition. But I mean, I don't know about you. Do you find that, I think America, it's a little bit more, you know, they've got used to it. Here, again, I think I've come up with a little bit resistance, again, because people
I resisted
so conditioned to thinking it's unhealthy.
Yeah, I resisted it for a long time because I was in the belief that it was like Atkins and it was going to just be protein, protein, protein. And so I resisted it for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually, when I really looked into it, I think because this is so aligned with what I do, because I'm helping people to get off sugar. I've always said sugar is the bad thing, not the fat. And so by introducing it, and then in 1 month, I lost 15 pounds. And I went from size 14 to size 10 in 1 month. Now, don't tell me that that's not something that is a bit of a wow.
Well, there you go. Exactly. I had the same thing. It was just like, well, I've struggled in the past to lose weight, even when I was teaching.
I struggled for such a long time. I thought, even though I was helping people to lose weight, they were losing weight, but I wasn't. On what I was doing and what I was advising. I was even going to my friend who's a naturopath saying, I'm really worried. I can't lose weight. I'm just stuck. And she was trying to suggest this, suggest that. And then I went keto and it just went,
boom.
And I went, that's my key. Wow. I found my magic key.
Yeah.
So I want to help other people to have the magic key.
Yes. I love it. And it is great to be connected with people like you that are, you're on the same. I knew you were on the same wavelength. Mm-hmm. I realise how much so actually before this conversation. But I mean, even linking it with the fasting again, we were so brought up to believe that, have you not had anything to eat yet? That's terrible. It's the worst thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
But again, having this understanding that, do you know what? I truly think that a lot of ailments and illnesses could actually be improved, if not solved, through some longer periods of fasting. It's amazing that, I truly believe that the body can heal itself. We've got to get out of our way, and it links up with also what you do with the hypnotherapy. It is, when the mind is calm, when we stop getting up here busy in thought and we get out of our own way.
Yeah. And stop just thinking, to me, and, like so many people, maybe experience it now. So, for example, migraines, and they're getting lots of migraines and they go to the doctor and the doctor thinks, right, how can I give them something to stop having the migraines? But whatever they give them is not getting to the root cause of why your body is giving you the migraines.
Exactly.
So what we need to do is think there must be a trigger. There's something that you're doing, or there's something your body's not happy with that is making you have these constant migraines. So a pharmaceutical product just masking that is going to another chemical in your system. Your body's going to have to scream louder to get attention because you're still carrying on that behavior or carrying on that whatever's the trigger. And then your body might have to then break out in something even more serious. So to me, it's like, this is the fuel they're bringing in our body, isn't it? Let's get that right. Because we know that if I had a diesel car and I kept putting petrol in it or the other way around, they're not going to work well. But Absolutely. We don't think about putting the right fuel in this, do we?
No, it does seem crazy that, I mean, the old saying, we are what we eat. Mm-hmm. But yet, it's almost like, well, we've forgotten that. Why have we forgotten? We are. That's so true. We are what we eat. We need the correct fuel. We treat our cars better.
Yeah.
You put diesel on a petrol car, ain't working.
I know. I've done that not long ago. Expensive problem.
Funny enough, it doesn't work, does it?
No.
But yet, a light comes on in the car. You don't just cut the light out and carry on. But we tend to do that with our bodies. It amazes me that there isn't more, or people, I suppose, again, conditioning. We've been brought up to believe that, and I'm not trashing doctors, please. I think that's not what I'm saying here at all. We need them and we love them and they're doing all they can. What I feel is the system, they're doing all they can. They're overworked as it is, but the whole way needs a an overhaul and to look at things, have a more holistic approach to, like you just said, what is the root cause of that? And let's go back. But I do think a lot of things, when you give your body that rest, you give your like you said earlier, some people are eating more than 6 times a day. It makes sense that if your digestive system, from the moment you wake up in the morning, that's all it's got to do, and all the attention is on the digestive system, it's got no time to sort everything out. So it makes sense. You fast, you give your digestive system a bit of a rest.
Yeah.
And what I say to my clients, it's like your little Pac-Man, all your little cells inside are like sitting around going, oh, it's nothing to do. I'll best go and do the housework because there's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor. I like that. Brilliant.
Yeah, let's go and sort that out. Even on on a layman's, you don't need to understand the whole science behind it all, because we know it's there, right? But even just in layman's terms, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Give that a rest. So if there's any other jobs needing doing around the body, your cells can sort of deal with that, including, funnily enough, being more alert if a virus or a bacteria, enters the body. Your body's going to be more on high alert because it's not busy focusing on the digestive. The whole thing.
It's all about supporting our immune system, isn't it? And
absolutely
getting those things in, like vitamin D. I've just been listening. I started listening to something yesterday. It's a 3-hour documentary somebody sent me, and it's on this, I don't know who the guy is, but he's amazing listening to it, and he's all talking about how, all this coronavirus, we could have protected so many people if straight away, right from the beginning, they'd said we're finding out that vitamin D, a lack of vitamin D means you're more susceptible to this. Get everybody on vitamin D.
Yeah. Or
and then sleep.
Instead of lockdown in the summer, get them out in the sunshine.
Yes, don't restrict us. And then get people, the advice about understanding the importance of sleep, because if we're sleeping well, our bodies are managing to restore and grow and strengthen, and obviously that is really protecting us again from getting the virus. So
100%. And guess what else you're doing when you're sleeping? You're fasting. Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When we give our body a rest, it is cleverer than we think we are. Thank goodness.
Oh yeah. We've got amazing machines here, haven't we?
Oh, totally. Except again, it's like our ego. I know that I get in my own way. If I was to just step out of my own way, everything will actually work perfectly. I've got to stop trying to be in control. Just allow your body your body knows what it wants. And like you say, when you're craving things, if you keep giving it more sugar, again, it makes sense what the people that are eating more higher sugar things, and they're hungrier more because, again, their body's saying, no, Karen, I didn't want any more sugar. I wanted some fatty acids and some amino acids. And then you have another packet of crisps and it goes, no, I said I wanted.
Well, you eat again and then I might get some nourishment. And that's what I teach my ladies all the time. It's like, if you just give it the good stuff right from the beginning, you'll notice that your cravings will be so much less. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, Jo, if anybody listening, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, my name is a bit difficult to spell, or, loads of people say, how do you spell your name? How do you say your name? So it's JoLefebvre.com. But if you typed in thesugarwoman.com, you would get to my website, or sugarwoman.co.uk, or if you write in tamingsugarmonster.com, you'll find my website.
Perfect. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been lovely to speak to you today. Another like-minded soul in this uphill struggle to help people feel better, look better, and just have really more productive lives in a way. So thank you for your time, Jo.
Thank you. And look at that dead on an hour we've got.
I'll be back on Monday at 2 with a coffee with Karen. Bye for now.
Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.